Check. Good. So I'm Max Ceron. Max Ceron, CWB Association Welding Podcast. Today we have a really cool guest, Welding Podcast.
The show is about to begin.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the CWB Association podcast. My name is Max Ceron and we are here in beautiful New Brunswick at St. John. This is NBCC. We're a part of Atlantic Skills competition here happening this week, which is going to be fantastic. As you know, we are a national sponsor for Skills Canada and also a provincial sponsor for many of the provinces across Canada. Today, we are going to be talking to a number of people over the next couple days from the college here of a variety of different trades. And our first guest of the week is Sarah Thorne here, who's an instructor at the college. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Are you doing good?
Yeah, happy to be here.
And, you know, like when you start with this process of skills, how nervous do you get coming up to this week?
It's super exciting. You can feel the excitement in the students. It's something super awesome to be a part of and to watch these students grow, be put outside of their comfort zone and really push themselves to be better.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So how long have you been teaching here?
I started in 2022.
Okay.
Yep. I
Yeah.
taught the welding and metal fab pre-employment course. And then I recently moved over to apprenticeship.
And do you miss the welder fab? Because apprenticeship's kind of a different game, right? Shorter time, kind of in and out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No, I would say I like the apprenticeship. I enjoyed the pre-employment, but it's nice teaching the apprentices because they have experience
Right.
and
They got a goal, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's a short time frame. They're pushing themselves, and yeah, it's just a bit of a faster pace, which I like.
So what about your career? How did you get into welding in the beginning, Sarah? I don't know. Are you a local here? Are you from New Brunswick?
Yep, I'm from New Brunswick. I live in St. George, which is about an hour from here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in your family, was there trades going around?
Yeah. My dad's a pipe welder. He was
Okay.
with 213 his whole career. Yeah. Yeah.
My dad was a Boilermaker. I feel the vibe.
Yes, yeah. Apple doesn't fall far.
Yeah.
But I got into welding when I was 15 years old. I started with a program called New Brunswick Teen Apprenticeship.
Okay, like a special program out here?
Yeah. So they get students in high school, like working full time in the summer, whatever trade they pick. So I actually started out as an industrial mechanic.
Oh, yeah.
So for my first year, and then I ended up switching over to welding in grade 11. And then, worked full time in my summers for Cook Aquaculture. And then they hired me after I graduated and indentured me and put
that
me
was
through
that?
school. Yeah.
So first of all, why the trades at all? What was it that made you, even look at millwright or industrial mechanic in high school? What was it that attracted you to it?
Just the hands-on. Like I've always kind of been a bit of a tomboy, liked working with my hands and watched my dad do it. And it was just seemed like a no-brainer, really.
Yeah. And then when you got into it, why didn't you stick with millwright? What was it that pulled you into welding and pulled you away from millwright?
The shop that I started out with, we were like marine maintenance. So we worked outside on boats. Like it was something different every day. So to be a millwright, they told me I was going to have to work in the fish plant. And I wanted to stay working outside. I was like, no, I like working on boats. I like being on the water. And yeah, that was where my heart was. So,
I mean, it doesn't sound awesome to work at a fish plant, but no diss to the fish plant. It's probably a great job.
Yeah. And I mean, you would have been, you still weld a little bit with the industrial mechanic side of things. But no, I grew up on the water and that's where my heart is. Yeah.
And then once you made that switch to welding, were you confident that that's the path you wanted to go through, especially once you're done high school and you gotta really crack it into now the apprenticeship and building those hours?
Yeah. Oh, it was no brainer. There was no second thought at all. Yeah.
Now, where did you go to school for your welding?
Moncton.
In Moncton.
Yep. Okay. I did my block. So because of that teen apprenticeship program, I built my hours and I had enough time to I had enough hours. Ahead, So as soon as I graduated, they signed me up for first block. And then I was allowed to do one block a year. And then I did my second block 8.5 months pregnant. And it was a process. I was very exhausted, but I pushed through it. And then I took a year off with my daughter and then finished block 3. And I was red seal by 21.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's like a very fast track. I mean, that's not
Yeah.
normally how quick people do it. Like,
Right.
I'm the word. I wasn't a red seal till almost 30. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, I just welded and didn't really think about it.
Yeah.
What was it that really helped you focus on this apprenticeship stream? Because, you don't need a red seal, right? You don't have to have it, especially when you're working just like out in the shops or you're not a union.
Yeah.
What was it that made you really want to get that red seal and have that ticket?
Just my drive, really. I just wanted to have that under my belt. I knew that I would like to be a teacher someday. I didn't think I
Okay.
would do it this soon,
Yeah.
but no, I just wanted to have that, and gives you more opportunities to kind of work in different places, and just
Mm-hmm.
just had to have it.
Yeah. One of the things we hear in Canada about the Maritimes often, and it gets repeated all the time, is that there isn't enough work out here. I live in Western Canada. We have historically had the influx of people from the Maritimes
Right.
come every summer for the shutdowns. I've worked with many people from the Maritimes over the summers
Yeah.
in Western Canada. Is that true? Do you feel like there's not enough work here? Have you had success with work? Like for the people that listen to the podcast from around the world,
Yep.
is it somewhere where you can move to with a welding career and establish yourself?
It depends how good of a welder you are, I guess.
Well, that at the end of the day, that's the truth.
Yeah.
Like I always say, if you ever see an unemployed welder, he's not a good welder.
Yeah, no. I've been very fortunate myself. I've never
Mhm.
had any issue finding work. If anything, I have a hard time picking where I want to go.
Yeah.
Like before I started here, I had an opportunity to work for the city of St. John, and I had a hard choice,
Yeah.
making the call. But yeah, it's
Government job or government job? What are you gonna
like,
do?
what do you do, right? Yeah, yeah. But yeah, no, I don't foresee it being a hard time to find a job, especially like with the unions, and it
Mhm.
depends what you want to do, right? Like,
Right.
I did marine maintenance for almost 6-7 years, and I got to work on boats and do inspections, and there's so many different areas that you can go with welding, even if it's not burning
Mhm.
rods or whatever. But even if you wanted to be in that atmosphere, like I branched off and did inspections for a while. I got my CEDO in 2021, I think,
Yeah.
22, and got to do X-rays and stuff at the refinery just across the road. And
I did see the refinery. Actually, I asked my taxi driver. I was like, "Is that a refinery?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "I worked in the refinery when I was younger. Regina's got a refinery
Okay,
too.
yeah.
But in Regina, we do kerosene and light fuels."
Wow.
And I asked what kind of fuels they did here, and he had no idea.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But yeah, it was an awesome opportunity, and just to stay like within the community and do that kind of work.
stay at home, really.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, as a welder, did you ever get the urge to travel? Because so many of us welders do pull that card, right? Because we
Right.
can,
Yeah.
right?
No, not really. I never really had the urge.
Mhm.
I also had my daughter pretty young, so
Yeah.
it kind of limits the traveling aspect of things. But luckily for me, that's finding work here was no issue.
It's interesting because I had my first kid around 21 too, and
Okay, yeah.
and then as a welder, I was able to find work around town, and there was always work around. But as soon as that kids got older, I was like, now I get to travel.
Yeah.
Now I
I
get
think
to
I
do
might
this
do that
stuff.
too when she gets older and see that side of things. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, in terms of your welding career, you brought up maritime maintenance. What are the big hitters out here? There's a refinery. I see that. Obviously, the ocean's going to provide work because nothing in the ocean survives long, right? Everything gets worn down. That's endless maintenance, right? What are the kind of jobs out here that would be like the biggest ones?
Honestly, I would say probably the pipe fitters union, which
Yeah.
is like the welders, and aquaculture. Like those are some two pretty big things. But yeah, as far as like the mills and in the refinery and yeah.
And what about mines? Is there any mines out here? Never hear much about mining.
No, there used to be an old tungsten mine towards St. George.
Oh, you
but,
think that'd be huge now?
Yeah,
Tungsten's
no,
so
it's
rare.
not even. Yeah, no. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'm plugging us
here. Yeah,
Show's over.
but yeah, no, that's no longer a thing. But no mines.
So you're welding. You're happy with your career. Everything's going great.
Yeah.
What pulled you into this world of teaching?
Just want to see the next generation, kind of set these guys up for success.
Just saw an
and
ad in the
help.
paper, teacher wanted, or did you know somebody? Or?
No. I just, I seen that they were looking for an instructor, and it was one of my former instructors that kind of told me about it and wanted to get me
Which
in.
instructor?
John Fisher.
Oh yeah, I know John very
yeah,
well.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
He is.
But he helped me get my foot in the door and, set me up for success. And, I had really amazing teachers, and I want to be that, like I want to help my students. And
the East Coast, NSCC, NBCC out here, I've noticed that they really have amazing welding programs. There's a lot of success stories. Even the smaller satellite colleges seem to be running a lot of great programs, both in French and English. And it always kind of surprises me because I don't feel like they really get the recognition that they deserve. Right? Because every time I'm out here, I'm amazed at the programs, the colleges, the equipment. There's all the programs. There's, engineering technologist programs, the wet programs. There's welder fab. There's straight welder. There's apprenticeship. All of it's here. And, not all the provinces can say that. Not all the provinces have all these programs. And yet you always hear about Ontario. You always hear about Alberta. You don't get the Atlantic provinces in that same conversation.
Yeah.
Why do you think?
I really don't know. It's
like, have you noticed that?
I have, yeah. But this is the first year in a long time that we've had apprenticeship at this location, and kind of seeing that growth really makes me happy. And to get everything set up and seeing more numbers and more welders being put through the program and a bigger turnaround, it's nice to see.
Are you guys full? Is it like the program waitlisted?
Yeah, we are. So we're in a block 2 right now with 12 students. And with the other 2 welding programs and the welder fitter, I think that's about all you can have
handle.
room for. Yeah, we're fighting for booths as it is, but we make do. Yeah.
Well, you can always take over carpentry, right? We don't need carpenters.
Hey.
Yeah, whatever. If you can build it out of wood, you can build it out of steel.
That's right. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just can't weld wood back together when you make it.
Yeah, no, that's why I hate wood. It's not. It's not a thing. It's like for babies. So I shouldn't say that. No.
Yeah.
Now, how long you been teaching here now?
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
And in those 2 years, what have you learned as a teacher?
I learned that there's always room for growth. Even as an instructor, there's a lot to learn. I don't pretend to know it all. There's always room for improvement. I've learned that I really enjoy teaching. I like helping students and seeing them succeed, and I really enjoy it. I like the interaction. I like being around people and just being in the classroom and in the shop. Yeah.
What's your favorite thing to teach?
TIG.
TIG. We were just talking about that. You guys only have one TIG machine.
No, we got 12 now.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Well, we just had them set up, but it was. Yeah.
All high frequency TIG?
No. we have one machine that's AC/DC. So we're gonna have to make that
to all
work.
the welding suppliers out there that want to make a great donation, NBCC could really use a lot of high frequency TIG machines. Just saying. Yeah.
Putting that out there.
Hey, you got to manifest it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll have to alternate for block 3 when we get into the aluminum and stuff like that. But we'll make it work.
Now, why TIG? It's the welding, and I'm just being a jerk right now because you ask anybody what's their favorite TIG.
Yeah.
And how much work is there out there for TIG? Not that much, right? So, and every kid gets this idea that I want to be the best TIG welder.
Right.
Instagram, the social media. But in reality, which is the one that's going to be the most useful for students, say in level 1 or level 2, right?
Yeah, probably stick or MIG. But I got to teach stick last block, and I suppose between the two of them are my favorite processes. But that's my personal preference. Mm-hmm. But I find with TIG, it's like an art, and
it is,
and you get both your hands going and your feet sometimes, and it's just. I love it. Yeah.
Is it what you're best at?
Yeah.
I
would say. Yeah.
Can you show off? Are you Can you do all the fancy stuff?
Yeah.
Can you do the cup walking? Oh yeah. Now, do you ever compete with your students?
I don't, but I get them to compete with one another. Yeah. Yeah. But I do. I like to get them interacting with one another and kind of showing off their own skills. So.
welding is a competitive trade, right? Just by nature. Number one, we're so highly invigilated,
Right.
right? There's no way around it. If you're not really trying to maintain that competitive status, even in just internally,
Right.
I find that you kind of suffer, right? A lot of the best welders, and I want to get into this kind of in the second half when we get to talking about skills, but some of the best welders I've ever come across have some innate competitiveness to them. And often they're like in hockey or race motorcycles or
Right.
something. They got something on the side that they use to let off this steam, right? What's your hobby? What's the thing that you like to do outside of welding that's competitive?
Competitive?
Or that, like, I mean, you push
Yeah.
yourself to strive, right?
I would say biking.
Yeah.
I don't race or anything, but
You love it.
yeah, I grew up on a dirt bike, and that's kind of where I let out my adrenaline.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
you know.
Go out there, pop some wheelies for a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes end up on my back. But
Yeah,
you know,
that's all right.
part of it.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, as long as you don't get caught by the tire on the way down,
Yeah,
you're good.
exactly. Yeah, but yeah, I would say biking. I also do a lot of artwork, so
Do
like
you?
commission pieces. When I was on maternity leave, that's what I did a lot. I sold
Mhm.
a lot of paintings and string art.
Were you always artistic? Was this
Yeah.
just part of your background?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always enjoyed art and like fine line work and
That's one of the things that I think has become very popular now in the welding spectrum is welded art.
Yeah.
And I think in the past it was kind of looked down upon of like, oh, that's not real welding, right? Like, I
Right.
mean, you got to be a structural welder, a pipe welder, industrial welder in order to be considered a welder or have a chance at making money for a career. But I think in the last few years, we've kind of seen that, like, I mean, like all arts, if you build it, someone will buy it.
absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about art is if you have the confidence to build it and make it and not compare yourself to other artists, because that's a hole that you don't want to go down because you'll ruin your confidence right away.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you can build it and make it and put it out there, people will buy it.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that there's people that are very, very, successful as artists now in the welding world. Would you or do your students feel like, like that this is an actual career now? Like, is it something you say like, hey, you can go be a shipbuilder or
an artist.
Or an artist, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah. It's actually cool to see. She's a female Canadian, Jen Phillips.
Yeah, I've met Jen. She's awesome.
Oh, that's wicked. Yeah, I've had her on Instagram for a long time, and she's an inspiration.
Mhm.
I've had her on there before she kind of got big, and
Yeah.
it's amazing watching her success. And
Yeah, she's done stuff. I think we have something of hers in our head office.
oh,
but
that's amazing.
yeah, no, she's been around. She's done
Yeah.
stuff in the U.S. too,
Yeah.
AWS, and a whole bunch of other stuff
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's amazing.
now on that note, as for yourself as a female artist, welder, teacher, you said you had Jen on your Instagram a long time ago. How important is that female-led community for you? And as a welder coming up, how important was that?
Pretty important. Like I started in the trades 10 years ago, and watching how much it's changed just over that short period of time of
Mhm.
how many women are coming into the trade and how it's becoming more accepted. And, I had gone to a women in trades conference in Halifax when I was pregnant. So it would have been 2019, maybe. Okay. Yeah. I remember one of the girls saying like women have to work twice as hard to get half the recognition.
Yeah.
And it kind of stuck with me, but yeah, no, it's becoming a lot different of a world for women, and it's pretty cool to see.
Do you feel that we're starting to make a dent, like in the representation? Because it's brutal. There's a new show out called The 4% right now,
Oh yeah,
which is talking about how women are only 4% of the industry, right?
right.
And like, I mean, that's embarrassingly low, right?
Yeah.
It's worse than other trades.
Yeah.
It is worse than other trades. And to be honest, I couldn't tell you why, because I've only ever been in one trade. I don't know how it rolls with the electricians
Right.
or plumbers or whatever, but for some reason we've had that inability to recruit women, but I would say that's not the biggest issue. I would say the biggest is retention.
Right.
Right? Because as an instructor, I taught in the college for almost 10 years. I had lots of women students, lots.
Yeah.
And there was classes where I would be 50-50, if not, there was one class where I had 8 women and 4 guys.
Wow.
Right? Which
That's
I was
amazing.
like, wow, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Lots of girls, you
Yeah.
know? But then the statistics don't hold well.
No.
Right?
No.
Like you're looking
True.
at, 2 years down the road, I think it's less than 20%
Yep.
are still in the trades. What are we doing wrong? What are we missing? Like what's the problem?
I really wish I could tell you, but it's something we need to work on, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just the support or, discouragement. And I know when I first started in the trades, like my confidence was low, and I don't know if that goes for any gender,
Yeah.
but once I started to get solid feet beneath me and didn't have problems telling people to.
F off.
Well, yeah, exactly. No, but no, John Fisher and I actually taught an all-female welding course in 2021 in Moncton,
Mm-hmm.
and it was amazing. Like
Yeah.
I've never seen that many girls in a shop, right? Like when in my career, I've only worked with, one woman back
Yeah.
when I was at Coca Aquaculture, and now I have 3 girls out of 12 in my class, and just seeing the numbers grow is amazing. Oh,
How do you try to prepare them as a female teacher to female students to stay? What can you do to help them to fix that retention issue?
just get their confidence up, and really get them believing in themselves, that they belong here just like anybody else, and I treat everybody equal, and just try to reassure them that if this is what they want to do, that's where they'll end up.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, this is a good time to take our commercial break. We'll be back in just a couple seconds here after our advertisers talk. But we're going to continue on with Sarah Thorne, and we're going to talk specifically about Skills Atlantic and what's going on here. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here on the CWB Association podcast.
The CWB Association is new and improved and focused on you. We offer a free membership with lots of benefits to anyone interested in joining an association that is passionate about welding. We are committed to educating, informing, and connecting our workforce. Gain access to your free digital publication of the Weld magazine, free online training, conferences, and lots of giveaways. Reach out to your local CWB Association chapter today to connect with other welding professionals and share welding as a trade in your community. Build your career, stay informed, and support the Canadian welding industry. Join today and learn more at cwbassociation.org.
And we are back here on the CWB Association podcast. My name is Max Ceron, and I'm here with Sarah Thorne from NBCC. All right before the break, we were talking about, supporting women in the industries and yourself as a female instructor, trying to do what we can to tackle some of the retention issues we have with women in the industries. And one of the key points that you brought up a couple of times was confidence, right? And right now, this week, we are having skills competition across the Atlantic provinces. You have a number of provinces here representing and fighting for those last spots, which to compete for nationals. And it's a year, a qualifying year,
Right.
to go to Shanghai, China. How important is these type of competitions, in the welding community for your students to build those, confidences?
I think it's a great way. It pushes you outside your comfort zone. A lot of nerves are being brought up. It's a good way to push yourself. You're being timed, you're being watched, you're being judged. It kind of, puts you in a position to really test out your skills under pressure. And, I think it's a great way to push students.
Did you try skills when you were a student?
It was during COVID, and it was a ripoff. Basically, I was the only one at the college, and it was all virtual, and yeah. But it was quite a different experience. So to see all these people here today, and everybody come together, and it's a good feeling.
Now, is this the first time they've had one of these big, Atlantic competitions? Because I've been here out here for nationals in 2019.
Okay.
And I'm just trying to think if there was other, kind of combined events or big events like this.
To be honest,
I
I
don't
can't
think
answer
so.
that. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I kind of, I did it back in 2020, 21, but like I said, this is a whole different experience this time around. So
How do you feel about your students this year competing?
I think it's great. We have two they're not my personal students, but they're from this college, and it's nice to see. I hope they do well.
You think they got it?
I really hope so. Yeah, I'm rooting for them anyway. Yeah.
How many competitors do you have today?
Two.
In total between all of them.
Oh, there's 12.
There's 12.
There was supposed to be 13, but one got hurt or something.
Got hurt.
Yep.
And is there post-secondary and secondary happening out here?
Yes. Yeah. So we have high school students tomorrow, and we got the post-secondary today.
High school kids tomorrow. Those are always so fun to watch. They're so nervous.
Right. Yeah. I think everybody's nervous. And that's, as I was saying earlier, you really feel that excitement for them and nerves almost. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I remember being a teacher during a skills journey. And it's really interesting because I always think back because, the kid I went to skills with, Adam Sebastian, we ended up going to Russia. There was a co-mentorship. We had two mentor instructors. It's the way SAS Poly always does it, two instructors.
Okay.
We find it gives a little bit of a competitive edge to the student because they kind of can bounce off ideas off two people, right?
Yeah.
But he wasn't our first pick. And we always talk about that, after the fact as instructors.
Yeah.
When we did our internal competitions, because you do your little in-school competitions to kind of filter out who's the best, right? He was maybe in our top 5.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And then when we got to the last competition before provincials, he was top 3, barely, right? Top 3. Not because he wasn't a great welder, but he was kind of like slow, like just like his timing wasn't quite there. And he was kind of struggling to finish things on time. But then when it came down to having to pick, we can only send 2, one in an alternate. We ended up picking Adam for a couple of reasons. One, that slowness we felt we could work on,
right?
But it was an attention to detail that made him slow, which I'm okay with.
Exactly.
Right? I'm okay with attention to detail if I can speed that up.
Right.
And then the other piece is that he was a professional motocross competitor.
Cool.
And we knew that would translate.
Yeah.
Because if you're used to competing, you're used to being up on a stage, you're used to the pressure.
Yeah.
That would be important. And it really did pay off. He got pretty far.
No, that's awesome.
Now, when you look at your students, how do you start to filter them down? How was the judging process here at your college?
So basically, it's same thing, kind of like a process of elimination, and you try to pick out the best ones. And like you said, the ones that, are used to having some pressure put on them and, can handle that. And yeah.
What about the ones that you want to compete but don't want to? Because there's always a few of those.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. There's been a couple students that we've tried, but weren't successful.
Come
but I mean, that's all
on.
part of it. You can't force them to do it. So you make do with what you got. So yeah.
How do you find the uptake is on it? Like, 12 students. You make all 12 compete the first round just because they should all see what it's like? Or do you make it completely voluntary right from the start?
Voluntary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we tried one year. Just everyone try, and if you don't, you don't, whatever, just to make it even.
Yeah.
Because sometimes somebody doesn't want to, but then they try it and they're actually really good.
Yeah,
right?
That's true, yeah.
And then, because often it's just a confidence issue.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
We keep getting back to that confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And for welding, confidence doesn't grow without practice.
Yeah.
Really.
It's
just
true. Yeah.
It's just that repetition, right?
Yeah. I remember back when I first started welding and I refused to pick up a TIG torch. It scared
don't
the shit.
look at me.
Exactly. And it was just a lack of confidence.
Yeah.
And not wanting to make a weld. And
especially in front of somebody.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and again coming back to, being a female and just, being scared, and it's once you get that confidence built up, it's game over, really.
Is there places, like you said, you worked out here and there was only one female in the one shop that you worked at?
Yeah.
Are you the only female instructor here at NBCC for welding?
For welding, yeah.
Yeah. So the underrepresentation continues, right?
Yeah.
Now there's some big shops out here, right? Like you got Irving, there's some big companies out here.
Yeah.
And I see that they're like making attempts at like really trying to hire a lot of women.
Yeah.
The girls in your classes that are going through the programs now, do you think they're going to have any trouble finding work? Do you think that they're going to have more opportunities than, say, 10 years ago when you were going through?
I hope so. I hope they have more opportunity. I know they're all employed right now by Local 213. And yeah, it's good to see them. They all come from jobs, and they're in the workforce right now, and seeing the numbers grow and people, I think there's like a ratio now where companies try to hire a certain amount of females, it's great.
It's good, yeah. Now, you said Local 213 a few times.
Yeah.
Big union out here? One of the bigger supporters?
Yeah.
That's
we have
pipe
a few
fitters,
competitors today from 213. So.
Oh, okay. So do you think they got a chance?
I hope so. I just want everybody to win. It's hard. You can't pick favorites, but it's like, I want my students, I want my friends.
Everybody out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, how much work is there for 213? Like, has the hall been really supportive of the program here? And the students?
Yep. As far as work, I think there's a lot of upcoming work. So
yeah,
for anybody looking to get in there, it's probably a good time.
Yeah. Well, like you said, you're waitlisted. So like if people are looking to get into the programs out here, apply early and often, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why they kind of got the apprenticeship opening up in different campuses and stuff, because the numbers they're trying to push through, there's a backlog.
Yeah. Now, in terms of the skills competition, how's the local industry supporting you guys? The suppliers, the other local businesses. Have you guys got a lot of support from the people around the St. John area?
Yeah, and like even just the suppliers, like Miller was a big one that
I seen Miller machines everywhere out there.
Brand new machines right out of the box. So they've been big. I don't want to miss anybody out, but there's been a lot
Source
of
Atlantic,
suppliers.
I think, is out here
Source
supporting
Atlantic,
a lot.
Milwaukee provided the grinders, and
nice.
Just seeing all of that come together is so awesome.
Well, we need industry to step up, right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we all need your students too.
Yeah,
exactly. I mean, we've really learned, industry has learned that welders don't like to buy from people that don't know welding. Right. So you see like lots of the companies like Messer and Lindy, Source Atlantic, their salespersons are almost all ex-welders.
Yeah,
now,
exactly.
right?
Actually, Lindy, they provided some stuff too, and he is an ex-welder. So
yeah, because it's hard to be like, hey, I need a 035 contact tip for this Trigascus gun. And they're like, what?
Exactly. Like, come on, I don't have to explain myself.
The new Trigascus or the old Trigascus? That used to be Bernard. Remember the old Bernard that used to be Trigascus, but now it's Trigascus?
Right.
That one. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So what's in the future for you now? You're young. I'd put you at late 20s. I have no idea how old you are.
Yeah, I'm 27.
Right?
Yeah.
So you got a kid, you got a family. You're already teaching, which is extremely young to start teaching.
Yeah.
Like some of us took forever to get a teaching job.
Right.
Some of us not.
Yeah.
So what's in your future? Do you see yourself here for the next 30 years? When I say it like that, it doesn't sound so good.
I don't want to say this and get fired, but probably not. I enjoy teaching, but there's definitely times where I miss being on the tools and working with my hands. Like I still work with my hands, of course, but you're not building stuff. You're not in the grunt work. You're not doing that kind of stuff. So being so young, I think I will probably make my way back into industry, or if not, maybe even take a different trade.
Yeah.
But it was like I was actually.
I shouldn't have made fun of carpentry then earlier. I'm sorry.
That's fine. But no, I was actually talking about this the other day. It was like, where I started at 15 and worked so hard to get my red seal. Even just like the process of, by the time I was red seal 15 to 21, after I got my red seal, it was exciting, but it was like, well, now what?
Now what's next? Yeah,
exactly. So, it's like where I'm a fast learner, I'm accomplishing stuff, and then once I get it under my feet, it's like, okay, on to the next thing. So, I've been teaching for a few years now, and I don't know what's next.
Well, it happens. It happens.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had the same question asked to me, but and I've bounced, right? So I got my welder, and then I got my fab, and then I got my blue seal.
Yeah, I might go for that.
Right.
I might go for my fab. It's pretty similar trade.
Yeah. It's a lot more math, a lot more heady, which I enjoyed, right? Like I don't mind the books, and I love math, and learning new ways to do math was, I thought, really fun, right? Because you have like the math you do every day, and then you have like real math.
Actually, yeah, exactly. When I had
like trigonometry,
right? I had to. I was a 0.5 for the machinist, so I taught them all their like related courses, like welding, math, oxyfuel, physics.
Right. Okay.
Which was challenging for me because it's been a while.
It's new,
yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, it's fun.
And so one of the common things to go to after teaching is into some type of, management type of gig.
Yeah.
Would you ever like to be like, do you see yourself as a shop manager, owner, anything like that? Like
An owner someday for sure.
Yeah.
I'd like to, in an ideal world, have my own business.
Okay, yeah.
But I don't know. It's all up in the
You
air
can always do that
right
on the
now.
side. That's the beautiful thing about teaching.
Exactly.
Because I had my side business. I had my own shop, and then when I started teaching, I kind of pushed it off to the side.
Right.
Got rid of everything, but I still kept the company name and GSC number and everything.
Right.
So that I could always just do those side hustles off the
Yeah.
side because number one, you have summers off.
Right.
Right. So instead of going to go do shutdowns and stuff, I would just pick up a couple contracts
There you go.
and build stuff over
Yeah.
the summer. Right. I mean that's always something nice. And then you could always come work at CWB.
I'm open to that. I was actually talking to Adam about that yesterday. I was like, man, get me in. Yeah.
Because sometimes this place comes knocking, it's hard to say no. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm open to it all.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. This has been a fantastic interview. Is there anything you'd like to say to the people about, skills in general or the welding program out here?
We're always looking for welders. Come see us. We'd be happy to have you here. And it's in today's world. We're looking for people. There's lots of upcoming work, and no better time like the present.
Yeah, no better time like the present.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Sarah. This has been super fun.
Yeah.
And I hope your two students get to the finals.
I hope
and
so
I hope
too.
I see you in Regina for the national competition.
Woohoo. Yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, get back to work out there. You take
Let's
care.
go.
And for everyone downloading and listening, thanks so much for being a part of the podcast. We're going to have a number of them recorded here in St. John, New Brunswick. And sorry.
Words
morning.
are hard.
Yeah, words are hard today. But check them all out. We're going to have lots of fun, and I'll catch you at the next one.
We hope you enjoyed the show.